Greetings! Just here enjoying a beautiful warm spring morning. And what do we have in front of us but the sun-warmed lomatium letting off its beautiful, beautiful smell. It's like parsley times 100. And it's a very common plant, and it was used traditionally for a long, long time by native peoples, both as food and medicine. As food, it's going to have a big taproot that goes down, and you can dig that thing up and dry it out, pound it out, turn it into basically like a flour or a starch. And that's why this is often called biscuit root, because you could take that taproot and make it into a biscuit. What I've done is get down in here and get these young sort of white bases of the long stalks, and they're down in there. You got to kind of dig them out, but I haven't been able to get to the taproot, so I just eat the sort of like white juicy stalks down there at the bottom, and they're tasty. They're kind of sweet, and they have a little bit of carbs in them, and obviously the medicinal benefits are just fabulous. It's been proven to have antiviral aspects, and it's great for if you have coughs, cold, bronchitis. You know, it's an expectorant. It's proven antiviral against things like HIV and tuberculosis, so it's not a supposition. It really does work. And obviously, you can use a little bit of the sprigs here as a parsley replacement if you just want some food. I'm not an herbalist. I'm kind of more into free food, as I've said before. And lomatium is free food. You just got to work for it because it likes to grow in this real rocky soil. So you have to fight through a lot of rocks to be able to get to that taproot. But if you can, you got yourself, sometimes, a good 12 inches of starchy root that you can use. But it's a really good one to know. It's extremely common. You can kind of spot it, all over the place here. I couldn't help but smell it. There's a little creek a few feet away that I was coming to fetch some water, and I couldn't help but smell this patch of it. See, before it starts to go to seed or to go to flower, it'll just kind of look like this. But those flowers are unmistakable. You just can't miss them. Big bunches like that. And the smell is just, you can't miss the smell. Like I say, I was over there and I couldn't help but smell it as the breeze was carrying this, the sun was warming it and evaporating off these essential oils. And, it's got a lot of interesting aspects to it. If you look up the plant and the different medicinal or even culinary aspects to it, it's a pretty handy plant to know. And I like to know it. I like to take advantage of it whenever I can, but I do make sure and be careful handling it because you might want to wear gloves, not because it's poisonous, but, obviously quite the opposite. It's actually medicinal, but the oils and everything are so pungent. Your hands will just reek like this stuff when you're done handling it. So probably not a bad idea to wear a pair of gloves, let them take the stink, because it's a strong, strong smell. It doesn't take much of a little sprig like this to season your pot of food or a small meal. And that's why it's wonderful, because it's so abundant and you don't really need much in terms of seasoning. And each one of these is going to have a big taproot. So, how many of those taproots do you need before you have enough to make, some sort of a biscuit or a meal or, a flatbread or a cake of some kind? It's a really useful plant. I don't know of any non-uses for it. I don't know, maybe not cordage. I don't know if we can necessarily twist this up into cordage, but, just touching that, there's a sweetness that just touching the stalk there, the sweetness. It's just so lovely. I can't describe how much I love lomatium. It's such a wonderful, wonderful plant. Like I say, getting those lower stalks in there, they are kind of whitish, and they are sweet and delicious. I don't know if you can almost see them in there. I just can't get enough of them. Except for, now my hand really, really smells like it, but that's okay. I don't mind the smell of a healthy, natural, safe plant, especially when it's one as friendly and nice as lomatium. But I want to thank you so much for joining me here for a few minutes to talk about one of my favorite plants, lomatium.